皆さん、こんにちは。香川博です。本を書いたりするときは、山癖洋二というペンネーム使ってますので、よろしくお願いします。さてと、先月ですね、アメリカに行ってきました。でそこでね、何人かの人に今のアメリカって本当に分かりにくいじゃないですか。政治もね、それからこう社会の状況も。で、一度ですね、整理しようと思いましてね、何人かのアメリカの人に、インタビューしたんですけど、その中で1時間にわたってね、協力してくださった方が一人いますね。ボストンの方で、スコット・ハースさん。この人はですね、トラベルライターね、でもあり、著者でもあり、かつですね、この著者、彼の作った本っていうのはね、もう何カ国かにこう翻訳されてるんですが、それ以上に面白いのは、彼は移民としてね、こう、アメリカにやってきて、非常にこう、いろんな苦労して移民してきた人たち多いんですよね。そういう人たちが持っているトラウマと向き合っていく、いわゆるサイカイトリスト、ね、心理学者というかな、そういう人でもあるんですよね。そして、さらにね、スイスとボストンとの間を常に往復しながら、自らのこう、アイデンティティとしてのね、ユダヤ系のドイツ人というアイデンティティも持ちながら、ボストンで生活している方です。この方に、1時間にわたってインタビューしたんですけど、1時間って長いじゃないですか。で、今回4回に分けました。で、4回に分けて15分ずつお送りします。でね、今回第1番目ですよね。最初の15分ですけど、これはすごく大切だと思います。というのはね、彼の背景とかそういうことを知るためにもね、スモールトークを最初にやってるんですよね。導入部分。どうやって、そういう導入をしながらアメリカということを知るための本題に入っていくかという、そういうこう一つのね、インタビューの方法も見ていただきたいんですけれども、彼という人物を通して、まずね、アメリカというのは、アメリカにはこういう背景の人たち、いろんな背景の人がいるんだなってことを理解していただくことから始めたいと思います。じゃあ最初の15分間行ってみましょ
Yeah, I'm still in Savannah because how can I say, like, this is the end of my business trip and the last few days I want to be quite relaxed. And
I understand.
yeah, it is really good because people nice and also and quite old, like a Boston, southern part of Boston.
It's a very pretty city, as I remember. Yeah.
You have been here, right?
Very long time ago. I was there 28 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. Well, you know what? I mean, so I'm gonna be here next one day, and the day before, and the day after yesterday. The day after tomorrow, I'm gonna fly back to New York.
Okay.
And then spend only overnight, then go back to Japan.
That's a long trip. How long have you been traveling?
This time, I arrived in Los Angeles around when it was. It was May 17th.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's a
18
long
or
time.
something like that. Yes, and we spent actually in Southwest.
Okay. New
Yeah,
Mexico, you're saying,
New
yeah.
Mexico. That is my favorite place too. But
I bet it's beautiful.
basically, yeah, Los Angeles and New York is a business place which I have to do, and
Of
then
course.
in between, I'm just sneakingly taking a rest.
No, you need to balance it. So.
Sure. So you don't have any plan to go to Switzerland near future?
Oh, yeah. I'm going a lot, actually. I'm leaving on July 24th. And I'm staying there until August 22nd. And then I return to the United States and I stay here until September 17th. And then I go back to Switzerland and stay there until October 20th.
That's a beautiful idea. I envy you.
So I'm going to be there for about 9 weeks with 3 weeks in between. So I have a book that a Swiss publisher is publishing this fall about Swiss agriculture and farms. So part of the reason I'm going to stay there longer is because of that. So
this is related with your professionality about agriculture?
Well, how would I say this? I'm a writer.
Yeah, of course.
So if I'm a writer, I think that I can observe any number of things. And the Swiss national identity, for accurately or not, they think of themselves as they're very proud of their farms. And if you meet a Swiss person, they will tell you, my grandfather was a farmer, my great uncle, they all connect to farms. It's not true. Some of it's not true because most of them live in cities. Many of them are quite affluent, but they have this strong tie to the farms. And so the village that we are in has 7 farms. And not to sound Swiss, but my grandmother's father, all of his sons worked with farmers, all of them in Bavaria.
So it's my background too.
My grandmother's family, they were cattle traders. So from the 1750s until the 1930s, they were primarily cattle traders in the rural area of Bavaria. So if you have cattle and I need cattle, if you have cattle and another person needs cattle, the family would make the trade.
The trade, like an agent.
Like an agent, exactly. But then they would take the cattle to the cities. So my grandmother's family was all in the countryside. But even more than that, until the early 1930s, I don't know if it was like this in Japan, but it was similar. It was like this in Europe. There were no banks in the countryside.
Yeah, I think so. In Japan, it is tough to find out a good bank in the countryside.
Right.
Right.
So if you had money as a farmer, you would give it to the cattle trader to pay for the cattle. But also, if you were a farmer and you needed to fix the roof or hire people during the harvest, how would you pay them? So you would borrow money from the cattle trader. So they were acting as bankers.
Yeah, you can write a novel of that. It's quite a
well, it's an interesting story. But you know what's very interesting too is that in the town where my great-grandfather was from, Kolmberg, it's the same town where Kissinger's family was from. So
what it is like in Germany or?
Yeah, Bavaria. So Kissinger's family were also cattle traders. That was a profession for that particular religious group. They were allowed to be cattle traders.
You mean a Protestant religious group or a Jewish group? Jewish
group. So the Jewish groups in the country, yeah. So it was a natural. The Jewish people in the countryside only achieved civil rights until 1871. Before 1871, they did not have equal rights. So one of the things they did was they became cattle traders. But there have been 2 books written about my great uncles. They were prominent cattle traders. They were important in the countryside. These 2 uncles, these 2 great uncles. But anyway, so I come to the idea of farms in a natural way. Although I have to tell you, I did not know about this until 2 years ago. My father never told me this. So I started to research the family and I went, what? And I asked I have very close Swiss friends, and I said, what's this business with cattle traders? Have you ever heard of this? And they said, yeah, that was a common profession for Jewish people in Germany. So I didn't know this. I didn't know this when I started writing the book. I started writing the book in 2019. So it was an accident. But when
really interesting.
It is interesting. And when you come to Switzerland, you'll see in our village, you'll come to stay with us perhaps, there's lots of farms. And you see the cows everywhere. The cows are just free.
Right.
So anyway, that's the project.
This time the project is related to the lactic product?
It's related to sustainability.
Sustainability of the product.
Of everything. So for example, you have the farmers. It's a very difficult job being a farmer. So they have to come up with other ways, and the farms, similar to Japan and the States, they're closing. The children don't want to do it.
That's right. Japan too, milk is quite difficult to get. The reason is simple because a lot of farmer is giving up about making milk.
It's hard. It's hard work, and the children want to go to the cities in Japan and the States and in Switzerland. They don't want to do the work. They want to meet young people. They want to go into music. They want to be dancers. They don't want to be farmers. And it's extremely hard. And every year is difficult because they're competing with China. They're competing with Poland for the farming products. The prices are lower. So I wanted to write about farms that are having business plans that are innovative. Like there's a farm that is growing fish. Another farm is they have families stay with them. Another farm, you rent a cow. So you pay the farmer and that cow sends you postcards in the summer. She's your cow. So I wanted to write about the farmers who were doing innovative things, but I also wrote about some of the right-wing farming organizations. So similar to Japan and the States, a lot of the farmers are right-wing because they don't like the government to impose settlement. The government says, we'll give you the money, but you have to have biofuel. You have to cut back on the way you treat animals. And the farmers say, don't tell us how to do our job.
I understand.
So they become right-wing. But what I write about in the book is that, ironically, some of the actual aims of people who are environmental, the Greens and so on, it's the same as the right wing. It's the same as the farmers. It's a question of how do you get to that point? It doesn't have to be an argument. It doesn't have, because we all want the same things. We want clean air. We want clean water. And so the question is, how do we help the farmers become part of the decision-making process?
You know, this is really related with the current today's kind of topic because, you know, I mean, many liberal people want to have a more like, how can I say, nature-oriented, and also, how can I say, nature-oriented means healthy-oriented, right? And then,
That's right.
Of course, you know, they demand about like, how can I say, not to destroy any nature by chemicals, but farming is also really deeply related with chemicals. You know, even cows or such kind of cattle business too, I believe. So
absolutely,
yeah. So this is a kind of contradiction in the kind of farming world as well as so-called liberal and right-wing conflict.
That's right. And to me, the right-wing parties, I don't think they care about farmers, but I think they have exploited the farmers' discontent. So if I'm a farmer and I go to the government in Switzerland, Japan, or the States, and I say, thank you for the money so I can grow things this year. And then the government says, that's great, but you cannot use pesticides. I will say, you don't tell me how to do my job. So the question is, how do you get the farmers? How do we all work together? Because we're all human beings. It's not that's not complicated.
True.
Part of the challenge is the farmers are not educated people, and I say this with love, but they're not educated, many of them, and they're very selfish. They only see the farm. They don't see the bigger picture.
And the money you can grab instantly. This is important for them, right?
Right. Well, it's hard work. I mean, I have worked on a farm in Switzerland for a summer. It's really hard work. And the people in the cities think they're clever. They think they know more. And they think because of their education, they should tell the farmers what to do. And the farmers say, that's great. So you are university educated. Still, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. So there has to be more cooperation. It's not, you know.
Wow. It's quite a subtle work too. Delicate, can I say?
I think so. But it shouldn't be, the farmers should not be taken over by the right wing. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't that way 50 years ago. The farmers some of them were quite liberal. Some of them were progressive, you know.
Well, I tell you, like, I mean, farming world also was one of the origin of the socialism and the communism even.
Right, that's right.
This is depend on kind of a hard labor kind of things, and also class issue, or like, you know, sometimes farmer is considered as a lower level class.
Right,
and
absolutely.
That is a kind of based on the kind of theory of the Karl Marx. People say like people must climb up to the, equalities. And of course, you know, sometimes communism seems like quite evil in the United States, but there are some kind of ideology at that time.
I agree with you.
Then
I don't have a problem with that.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that. I happen to agree with you that I think that we have to think about our community, not about ourselves.
Right.
I think that if we're only thinking about what's best for us and our family, then those are not democratic values.
Exactly. But also another irony, or can I say contradiction, is you mentioned that the so-called intellectual people and vice versa, non-educated people. And this is one of the issue of the gap here too in the United States and everywhere in the world, of course. And if we say like we intellectual, maybe people hate to listen to, of course, But can I say it's the same like a communist movement in the 19th century and the 20th century, because interestingly or ironically, a lot of people start talking about is quite intellectual people who are educated with a wealthy family. The son and daughter, they became the communist.
100%, right.
And then they want to change the world. But actually, the real kind of movement was done by in Russia or China. It's from the farmers anyway. So, yeah, of course, for the first time, there are big gap. Gradually through the chaotic kind of war or everything, the revolution and everything happens, then, it happened over there. Now, of course, in the United States right now, of course, it is a strange revolution, which is led by Donald Trump, strange guy. But